On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Opus Contra Naturam by Behemoth. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're talking again about Behemoth.
Yes.
They are a Polish extreme metal band is probably the best thing to call them throughout most of their history. They've been a blackened death metal band, more or less, although extreme metal is probably just the most apt term.
Right, because they sort of go in between genres. Right?
Yeah, they blend a lot of influences from various different genres. But
and this is their latest album, Opvs Contra Natvram.
Yeah, they do that a lot on this album. I think they've done it a lot in their discography, but I feel like they kind of went overboard on this album. With the substituting V's for U's. That's a thing that I've never thought was cool.
I feel like at this point they're fucking with us.
I have to imagine so, because it's one of those things that's like in my head so indelibly. I don't know if I'm using indelibly, but it's inextricably linked to the cringiest side of black metal. Mm-hmm. Like the side that takes itself way too fucking seriously, unless you're doing it ironically, which some bands probably have done. But like it really evokes like early Mayhem to me. For some reason it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. Also, it makes it hard to read the fucking titles of the songs.
Sure.
I just want, what's that? I gotta transliterate it in my head. I hate it. I don't think I use transliterate correctly, but I don't fucking care. They're not using U's and V's correctly.
That should be our theme tonight. I
don't fucking care.
I don't fucking care. I was gonna say just using words just willy nilly, but I don't fucking care words.
Words don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
We just use them however we please.
Yeah, just say whatever toaster you want to.
See, it's gonna get completely ununderstandable,
right?
At a certain point. Also, I don't know if I've got I don't know if my wit is quick enough tonight to keep that up. I would trip up trying to find the wrong word to use.
Really.
I can't consciously, I can't unconsciously use the wrong word. You know what I mean? Like talking wrong takes more effort, than just saying what's up. I think I would be terrible at improv, honestly.
Really?
Like on stage improv, because for me, it's like, all right, now think of a thing. Oh fuck! There's nothing in my brain. Like
when you put on the spot.
If I am prompted to come up with something, I can't do it quickly. I can do it eventually, which is why like I don't have too much trouble with like Dungeons and Dragons. But you're not,
because that's improv.
You're not trying to preserve comedic timing in Dungeons and Dragons. You can take some time.
It's good to have a bag. It's good to have a bag of go-to pointers, you know?
Exactly.
When you walk into a conversation, like if I'm at a party and I'm a little bit tipsy or whatever, and somebody says, "Hey, that's OJ. OJ's funny. Say something funny," and then I get to the person who I'm being introduced to's face and yell "fuck you" as loud as I can. That's in my bag.
I mean, that would be pretty fucking funny. I would think that's funny.
Sure.
Watching it, I don't know if I were the person that was like, "Hey, say something funny, OJ," and you came up and screamed "fuck you" in my face, I might not think it was funny. I might be terrified.
Sure.
But if I were watching that, I'd probably think it's funny. But I can't think of something when prompted. Like today, I was chatting with you.
The landing,
there's a bar that I do ads for every week at work, and the owner of the bar wanted a new little slogan to put in to like advertise for their bottle shop.
Right.
And it's been the same for years and years and years, and he wants something new, and I'm like, fuck, I have no fucking ideas.
You got nothing.
I can't think like there's probably been a million other times where something has just popped into my head that would have been great for that, but it's not what was requested, so I didn't write it down. I don't have a folder full of catchy slogans for liquor stores,
right?
That I've come up with over the years. the closest thing I have to that is a couple of sheets full of stupid band names.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, that we haven't added to in probably like since COVID, probably.
Yeah.
Because that was just the thing that we would do while we were sitting around in the bullpen with nothing to do.
Right. Somebody would say something really weird and be like, that's a band name.
That's a band name, and we'd write it down. And then, for 6 months we weren't in the bullpen.
Right.
So that kind of died, and we haven't gotten back. And I'm also so busy that I sit at my desk for probably about 10 minutes out of the day.
Right.
So we don't get to have those conversations at work anymore. Eventually our boss came up with one that I think is pretty good.
Yeah. Take the party home with you.
He's really good at coming up with like snappy little things like that.
Yes. Yeah.
When I brought that up to Kelly, she was like, ask Jay. He'll come up with something in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And he did. So hopefully the owner of that bar likes that. But
I think you and I spend too much time far in the outer reaches.
Oh yeah,
of weird shit, and he's very a very centered person. He's right there.
Yes.
He's within reality.
and so we are not.
So his quick wit is able to dig right in that fertile soil. Whereas we're in the goddamn Kuiper Belt.
Yeah, we're so far into the fucking weeds that we cannot see where we came from.
Right.
We're way out in the weird areas that we can't see the obvious shit anymore.
Right.
Maybe that's how it is. Anyway, how are you in general?
I'm doing pretty fantastic. It's been a good last weekend. I went to Medora.
Yeah, good old Medora.
Did Medora stuff. Medora, I don't know if you're listening. You're from North Dakota.
If you're not from North Dakota, you probably don't know what it is.
Yeah, Medora is our tourist trap.
Yeah, it's our kind of old westy sort of tourist trap.
Yeah, and it's great. And you go in and you spend too much money and you do the touristy trap stuff and you love it. It is actually really good. They have a musical they put on outdoors in the summer, and it's always fun.
It's like Deadwood, South Dakota without the gambling.
Right. And there's camping. We went camping. We didn't do the pitchfork fondue because I was with a farm family, and they're like, we're not fucking eating ruined steak.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been there and done the pitchfork fondue. I do remember the steak not being particularly great, but that's because they make it for hundreds of people every night. And
I feel like deep fried steak, you can't do it right anyway. Because in order to make a steak proper, you need to have a good, 800 degree grill. You need to make it nice and caramelized on the outside and, nice and red in the middle. You can't do that at 450 degrees.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that about the pitchfork fondue is that it's all the other stuff. You're getting all the other little bits of the meal, and it's sitting down and eating it where all the people are there, and
you're on a bluff overlooking the Badlands. So I mean,
it's a nice little experience. The food is definitely not the highlight.
It's secondary.
I think that all the other stuff is the more fun part of that. At least to my recollection, I haven't been to Medora in quite a long time. At least not to do Medora stuff. I've probably passed through there since then.
Well, I mean, it's hard to just pass. You could go by Medora, like if you're on the highway there, but you have to make a special turn and go way out.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you've been there since they have a lazy river in the middle of town.
No,
they have a zip line.
I didn't know that.
They have a mini golf course that goes through town. It's pretty badass.
I think the last time I was there, I was probably 13.
Really?
I was 12 or 13.
So it's been like 2 years since you were there.
It's been
crazy.
2 years. I'm 15 years old. No, it's been a long time since I've actually like taken a trip out to Medora and done Medora things. I always mean to, like, during the summertime at some point, like, go out and have a day at the national park, because Medora, if you don't know anything about like North Dakota, like geography, Medora is on the western end of the state.
Southwestern,
there's a big stretch of Badlands there, and then right north, basically butting up against the town, is the southern unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park.
Right.
Then there's a bit of a gap, and then there's a northern unit of the national park, which is a bit more remote than the southern unit. The southern unit is a bit more touristy, and the northern unit is a little bit more, a little more remote, a little more out in the sticks. But it's beautiful country.
Right. The southern unit has more people.
Yes.
Like visiting it.
Yeah, usually.
A lot of people visit the southern unit.
Ha ha!
What's up?
Genitals.
You know what? I didn't realize just how close the Badlands comes to like Newtown there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I mean,
yeah, no, I
forget.
Well, and I mean, it kind of depends on like where you consider the Badlands to like really begin. But yeah, it's like the roughest and harshest stuff is a bit further in sort of. But like there's little bits and pieces of it that kind of you can find every once in a while. Really, it's just like, you know, Badlands in general in the United States anyway, usually is a result of like some place where the glaciers just didn't ever really hit the last time.
Sure.
The last time the glaciers came down, they didn't grind down that area of land
right
the way they did for the rest of the Great Plains. For whatever reason, that little area got spared being covered over. And so it's had, you know, several thousand more years or several tens of thousands of more years of erosion.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. There's a place on the way if you're traveling along I-94, Painted Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
Very gorgeous to look at as well. Western North Dakota is beautiful. Like people, I think, are very down on North Dakota in general as...
It's the least visited state.
Yeah.
Of all 50.
And I would say we have our own kind of beauty in the state.
We do.
And it's one that I have grown to appreciate. But I can certainly understand why it would not be particularly impressive to people from almost any other part of the country.
Well, you know, and I think one of the beautiful things about our state is that if you're listening here in a different state, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
the fact that you're not here.
The fact that
nobody's here.
Yeah, that nobody's here.
Yeah, I can go out.
It's fucking empty.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you're in a place with the population, probably fine dining, you know, good company.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that here.
Nope.
No, it's actually between me and Kale right now. There's about 20 miles.
Yeah,
there's 20 miles between every human being in North Dakota.
Actually, we're not wearing headphones.
We're not.
We can just talk to each other because there's nothing in between us.
Exactly.
So there's nothing to get in the way of the sound.
Somebody who coughs in Grand Forks is like a few minutes later heard in Williston.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something that I do think of every once in a while, because like Minnesota has tons and tons of trees.
Right.
Once you get past
lakes.
a certain point.
Right.
Tons of trees and lakes. But like for the most part, I don't think Minnesota is really all that much less flat than North Dakota.
Sure.
It's just that it has the fucking trees.
Right.
It's like at least central, like the Red River Valley and a lot of eastern North Dakota is genuinely very flat. But most of central North Dakota is actually very hilly. It's if you've ever like walked a long distance in central North Dakota, you will be out of breath. There's a lot of hills. It's just the fact that there's no fucking trees.
Right.
It really does a lot to disguise how hilly the terrain actually is. And the fact that there's like between all of those big or all of those smaller hills, we don't have like big, huge mountains to break up the landscape. It's just gentle rolling hills as far as the eye can see.
We just have one huge mountain range in North Dakota.
Yep. Of the Turtle.
The Turtle Mountains. Yes.
It's a big hill.
Yeah.
It's a big hill.
That's what it is.
It doesn't even measure up to even the smallest of the Appalachians. It's just a little bitty.
It's an incline.
Yeah. I don't know why it popped into my head the other day. I was just thinking about, I guess why doesn't really matter, but about how like the Appalachian Mountains are technically the same mountain range that you find in the Highlands of Scotland and the like in Norway as well.
The same type of mountains? Or?
No, they're the same mountain range because the Appalachians, as they are now, are dying. Like the Rocky Mountains are being built up. The Appalachians are not the result of any tectonic pressures pushing them together. They are the decaying remains of the mountain range that was there when Pangea existed.
Oh, really? It's that
old. Yeah. That's why they're so small, is because as the United States has moved further east and the Atlantic has stretched out as it gets bigger and bigger, or moved further west rather, and the Atlantic has stretched out, that tectonic plate has also gotten stretched out, thus the mountains getting lower and
flatter,
lower.
right. It's like it's ironing them.
Yeah. So that's that the Appalachian mountain range is the remains of the same mountain range that exists in the Highlands of Scotland and I believe in Scandinavia.
I think some of the same people.
That's the irony of it is like hillbillies were mostly like people of like Scots-Irish descent. Like when you think of like hillbillies in the Appalachian Mountains, they're mostly people who came from Scotland and Ireland.
Right.
And they settled in a place that was oddly very much like home. So, I mean, you can't blame them. It felt familiar for some reason.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that popped into my head because I've been watching a lot of clips from Justified,
Sure,
which takes place in Kentucky, and then because of that, I also was listening to Kentucky by Panopticon.
So it's been. Did you have some fried chicken with 11 herbs and spices?
No, I haven't.
You should complete that theme. You just don't care for it, though, do you?
I mean, it's been a long since I have given like a 12-piece bucket a chance.
Oh, geez, why a 12-piece bucket?
I wouldn't.
Are you suicidal?
Not for myself, but I just mean like any fried chicken from KFC. It's been a while since I've given like they're on the bone fried chicken or just anything from them, but like especially their bucket fried chicken. It's been a long time since I've given that a chance, but I no longer have any sort of fondness for it. There's over time a revulsion has developed for their like on the bone fried chicken. It just doesn't. It's way too greasy. Maybe the one in Bismarck just fucking sucked because that's what we would get.
It's pretty greasy.
But like it's too greasy. And sometimes things would feel like really undercooked and
see, it was my grandfather's favorite thing.
KFC.
It was KFC.
I feel like it's one of those things that was probably better back in the day.
It was great, but I mean, it's really hard to say because then I was in grade school or whatever, kindergarten.
It's hard to separate just being a kid and having fried chicken.
Yeah, and my perspective on it now.
Yeah,
being my 80s. So
old man. So with with a lot more context for what constitutes good fried chicken.
Right. Although I'll eat it like a couple times a month. Well, partially because it's down the street from our office.
It's very close. So. I mean, it's the same reason why I go to Sonic all the time.
Sure.
Sonic's close by and it's something other than McDonald's. And I go to McDonald's a lot more than I used to as well. Because again, there are two McDonald's within throwing distance from my apartment.
Or there's one at the mall, and then there's one even closer.
Yeah,
the other direction.
I usually go to the one at the mall for some reason. I don't usually
because you have to cross Broadway to get to.
Yeah,
this is a very North Dakota centered recording here.
Yeah. I mean, look, these are the things that people talk about.
So in Minot,
here in the city of Minot, which some people would call a town. That's one thing that does often bother me.
What's that?
When you see people in media or sometimes in person if you're out abroad, and they're like, "Oh, I'm from a small town," and you're like, "Oh, how many people were in the town you grew up in?" "Oh, like 53,000." Like. That's not a small town. It's like I grew up in a town of 1,200 people, and that's not even the smallest town in a 15-mile radius from that place.
I feel like that's top 20 in North Dakota.
Yeah, like Washburn is fairly far from the smallest town in North Dakota because we have a lot of really fucking small towns.
We do.
And it's like if your town has a Walmart, it's not a small town to me.
Right.
If it has a Walmart, that's not a small town, in my opinion.
If you here are the qualifications. If you're in North Dakota and you want to say that what you have is a town, there has to be a post office and a bar
and a church.
Oh yeah, church.
You got to have a church, at least one church.
That's right. I keep forgetting they have churches.
Yeah. Look. For us, the post office and the bar is more important,
right?
I mean, that's that's Eastern Wyoming though too. Is like Wyoming is oddly enough, more depopulated than North Dakota even.
Right. There's fewer people in Wyoming than North Dakota.
It blows my mind that, what is it? Is it Vermont or New Hampshire?
It's one of those two.
Actually the smallest.
No, Wyoming's the smallest.
Wyoming is still the smallest.
Then the second smallest is New Hampshire, I believe. Hampshire. And then it's North Dakota.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't think New Hampshire should be that depopulated. But it's on the East Coast. But yeah, it's all just woods. But in any case, like Eastern Wyoming is just desolate. Mm-hmm. I haven't been through there in the summer, so maybe it would be different going through there in the summer. I've only been through there. No, okay, because like I've only gone through there like May or June is what I'm thinking about. Like August, I can see being fucking desolate as hell. But like when things are flowering, maybe it would be nice. But like
sure,
I've only been through in October. And God, that was depressing. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. Some of the like bleakest landscapes that I've seen in the contiguous United States.
See, the good thing about going through it in October, though, is that you can pretend in your mind that in other seasons it's different.
But it's not.
No, it's not.
It's all still just sagebrush and pronghorns. Mm-hmm. I mean, you pass a town, and it is literally 3 trailers, one of which is a bar.
Right.
And it's got some neon signs out. Like that's Eastern. The town of Lusk in Eastern Wyoming is one of the largest towns in Wyoming, and it is the size of the town I grew up in.
Right.
And it's one of the largest towns. It's not, it's not top 20, it's top 5,
right.
I think.
So you got Casper, you got Jackson Hole, you got Cheyenne, then Lusk.
Cody,
right, yeah, Cody.
Laramie.
Right.
And then Lusk, I think.
Then Lusk. It's one of the 7 deadly sins.
Along with Roth. It always weirds me out when people say wrath that way, when they say Roth.
Are you talking about your IRA?
Yeah. Cody, Wyoming is beautiful, though. Have you ever been to Cody?
I have been to Cody. It is beautiful.
It is a gorgeous town. Like Western Wyoming is amazing. Western Wyoming is beautiful. It's practically a completely different planet from Eastern Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Once you get into the mountains, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, once you get past the Tetons.
Yeah, it's like, once you get into the mountains there. Beautiful, beautiful country.
My the guy who, because I have a bad back because I'm in my 80s. Mm-hmm. The guy who did my physical therapy is from that area, and he says, in a couple of months I'm going to go climb the Tetons again with some friends.
Jesus.
And he says, if you get your back together, maybe you can come with us. Oh yeah, keep me on speed dialer, buddy.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Here, let's you and I hold our breath and see what happens.
You're gonna leave me behind at the bottom of the mountain for the bears.
Yeah.
That was weird the last time that I went through there with my parents when I think I was a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. And seeing we would get out of the car. I think we went to go eat at some point, going through like the Tetons. There was some restaurant, and we passed some trailhead, and there was a sign about be aware of bears. And I was like, fuck, yeah, we are in that part of the country, aren't we? Mm-hmm. One of the few parts of the lower 48 where you do have to worry about that.
Right.
There's not a lot of places in the lower 48 you have to worry about grizzly bears, but that's one of them.
Right.
Normally it's just black bears you have to worry about, and those aren't hard to intimidate.
Well, bear in mind, you hear people say that black bear is fine. That's still a fucking bear. It will tear you apart.
It's still scary, but it's a lot easier to deal with than a fucking grizzly.
Right.
Like even the biggest biggest black bear there is about the same size as like a very, very large dog. Mm-hmm. Right. Just a lot heavier. Mm-hmm. So you can, they're a little easier to deal with.
Don't pet them though.
Yeah, absolutely don't. They look so cuddly though. Bears in general. How dare they be so potentially dangerous and yet so cute? That's not fair. They shouldn't look like dogs. Why is it the thing that we love, the animal we love the most, resembles so closely an animal that an ancient culture was so terrified of, they refused to use the proper name for it and came up with a different word.
Right.
Or just started using the different word, which was just the color brown.
A brown thing.
Brown thing. And that's how we get bear, is it just meant brown thing.
Bruin.
Yeah. It's like people in ancient Europe were so fucking terrified of bears. They were like, that's just the brown thing. We're not even going to call it the proper word. This was a weird this was a whole tangent
it was
a whole tear.
And I wanted this to change the subject a little bit. Tonight.
Go ahead.
So a friend came back from Bismarck after going to the secondhand store and various things and then doctoring and stuff like that.
Okay.
And came to my home and says, I brought something for you.
Okay.
It's 5 shirts. Now,
okay,
I'm going to give you these 5 shirts, and they're great. I looked at them. They're shirts that you will like. They feel nice. They're your size. They're just like the stuff you like to wear. Okay. I'm going to trade these to you. You can have these 5 shirts, but I want you to go into your room, and I want you to give me 5 shirts that don't have the fucking elbow in them anymore. Because that's what I do with shirts. Yeah. I somehow wear out the left elbow.
Well, because you have a ton of long sleeve shirts.
I do.
And so, yeah, you always wear out one of the I mean, that's what I do with my fucking sweatshirts.
Right.
I wear out my elbows eventually. This Silent Planet hoodie that I'm wearing right now.
It's fantastic.
No, this isn't Silent
Wonder
Planet.
Years.
This is the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
That was a different Silent Planet hoodie that I have that I did blow the elbows out.
Right.
And the wrists. This Wonder Years hoodie is holding together very well. Considering I've had it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It's held together remarkably well considering how much I wear it. So yeah, that's so you found some 5 old yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, easily.
I mean, do you lean more to that side?
I might lean more to that side. I tend to use my right hand with the mouse and various other things.
So your elbows kind of up off of things, and you're supporting yourself with your
the left elbow,
with your non-dominant arm.
Right.
I would imagine you're probably just supporting yourself with it. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Were the new shirts? Was there anything? Were they just generic shirts or?
They were cool. I mean, actually, they were kind of generic. It's one of those things where there was one of them that says U.S. Shipping Company.
Yeah.
So that's not, what the hell does that mean?
That's not an industrial brand.
It is not. I mean, I have one that's already in my closet. It just says sports on it.
The U.S. Shipping Company, sounds like something that could have existed in 1902.
Right.
Like, we're the United States Shipping Company, because nobody had picked that one before.
Right.
That they were the first ones that got to pick the fucking Northern Steel.
Right.
You could just name things that because you could pick the most generic names because no one had ever come up with it before.
Right. Which makes me wonder how long Pepsi of Minot has existed, because that's Northern bottling.
Yeah.
Was there no other bottling in the North that could take that company name?
I guess not. Or either that, or maybe it's like a state to state thing.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or maybe it has something to do with franchising rules. I don't know. There's a whole, that's a sticky wicket there. Mm-hmm. Those are some weeds that we could get lost in.
Sticky wicket is not cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've heard that all my life.
Yeah,
I know it has something to do with the sport of cricket, but I don't know what it means.
I didn't even know that it had. Well, I think if I thought about it for even a second, I probably could have assumed it had something to do with cricket. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really don't know where that term comes from either. It would make, because a wicket is something that you use in cricket.
What is the bat called?
I think it's just called a bat.
Is it just a bat?
I think it's just a bat. The wicket, I think, might be the thing that the wooden,
the tee,
the thing that you put up. I have no idea what its purpose is, but it's like a little wooden stand.
Right. Yeah. Sure. Do you put the birdie on it? What do you do?
No, I have no idea what the fuck that thing is for. I don't know. All sports are kind of nonsense to me.
Right.
Cricket is complete and utter fucking nonsense.
Right.
None of it makes any sense to me at all. Because it's one of those things, like baseball is old and incomprehensible to me in a lot of ways, because it is so, it has so many weird rules because it is so old.
Right.
Cricket is even older.
Right.
And so it has a lot of really weird, nonsensical little things to it. The fact that cricket matches can take fucking days to complete is so bonkers to me. No thanks. No thing. Like here in America, we decided that our national pastime of baseball took too long.
Right.
Very recently, we were like, this is taking too fucking long. We need to speed this up. Put them on the clock.
This is taking over an hour. Did you see the video of the kid?
The kid that threw the ball back?
Yeah,
I didn't watch the video, but I heard about it.
Oh, man. And just after he did it and everybody was freaking out, he was so devastated.
Yeah. That would be terrible to be that little kid.
Yeah.
That would be awful. But whole family got memorabilia after the game was over with. So that's nice that happened.
And I saw that there was an interview with the kid. They did an interview with him and he was holding the ball that's signed by the whole team and whatever. And you saw the interviewer, the sports reporter with the microphone. Just in his head, he's like, "Don't call him a loser. Don't call him a loser. Don't call him a loser." Do you feel like a loser, kid?
How does it feel to be a little baby that follows rules? Throwing the thing back onto the field. Don't you know the cool thing is to keep it? Like I've seen that happen before. I've seen videos of that before where little kids will get the ball and they'll throw it back because that's the natural thing to do.
Right, that's the reflex.
When you're a little kid, that's their ball. I'm going to give them back their ball. And that's wonderful.
That's an ingrained human reflex.
That's a great instinct to have of this is yours. I'm giving it back. And then to have everyone around you go, what the fuck? That's got to be so crushing.
It does. Yeah.
That's terrible.
To act your normal instinct and everybody
to do the natural altruistic thing.
Give them their ball back.
Oh no.
Here you go, guys.
It's just terrible.
You guys are the ball players. This is a ball.
Therefore, it should be yours. I'm doing the good and normal thing.
And then immediately turning around and crying
as a budding member of our society. Oh, God. It's terrible. You want to talk about Behemoth?
Sure.
All right. So Behemoth is... I got a bubble in my throat. I'm going to pull up my computer. My knowledge of Behemoth has atrophied since the last time we talked about them. I know they're a Polish band.
Yeah, they're Polish.
Polish.
yeah. From Poland.
Beheman or Behemoth.
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
So yeah, they're a Polish extreme metal band. They're from Dansk. Is the G silent? I don't know.
It's Polish is weird. I feel like Polish isn't a real language. I think they're just fucking with us.
See, well, because Polish has an extra weird little thing of being a Slavic language, but they use the Roman alphabet.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's an extra little bit of uniqueness to it. The Roman alphabet is not quite built to really do the phonetics that a Slavic language has.
Right. And in Polish, and I saw a video about this the other day, a woman talking about the actual Polish alphabet has 4 A's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are 4 A's.
So anyway, Behemoth, they're from Dansk? Sure, we'll call it that. In Poland, they've been around since 1991. They started out as more of a black metal band and transitioned into a blackened death metal style that kind of sort of saw them rise to popularity. And then they've been kind of doing sort of a progressively cleaner and cleaner version of that blackened death metal sound for a while, sort of becoming more and more as marketable as a band like themselves can be.
Right.
They're a very popular band, and they have become relatively mainstream, at least in as mainstream as, like I said, as mainstream as a band like this can get. Nurgal, the lead singer, a primary songwriter, as I understand, as well.
Yeah.
He's the man behind the band, basically. It is something of a proper celebrity in Poland.
Yeah, he was a judge on
their version
Poland's
of
Got Talent or whatever.
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the Polish version of The Voice. It was some sort of singing competition. Sort of thing. And
or talent something.
And he has done this isn't his only project. He has some other Doesn't Nurgle have some other project? Me and That Man, yeah, country, blues, and folk,
right?
Which is so bizarre to me. You go from Behemoth to doing that sort of music is a weird transition to make, but it's not the most unheard of thing in the world, especially like there are a lot of people who perform relatively extreme metal that are into a very wide variety of music.
One of my favorite examples of that is David from Morbid Angel, David Vincent, doing a country album.
Yeah.
Which just something think about it is unnerving. I don't know what it is.
It shouldn't be.
Go back to doing death metal, man. This country music is off-putting.
Why would you do that? But yeah, so they've kind of like I said, they've kind of sort of cleaned up their sound. Not necessarily their image, but like
they really double down on their videos. They really
lean really hard into their themes. In a way that feels kind of disingenuous to me. Like it feels like they're trying too hard.
Yeah,
almost. And that kind of leads me into my feelings about this album a little bit. And like I think you primed me to feel this way a little bit last week.
Yeah.
But I can't help but find myself sort of agreeing with the basic sentiment that you had sort of laid out of like it feels like this album was very well reviewed as it came out, as I understand.
And it's good.
It's definitely good.
Yeah.
But it feels like Behemoth has become the generic version of their type of band.
Right.
And like I keep on harping on how popular they are, and I think it's kind of a product of that of like they are the epitome and have become the generic version of occult extreme metal.
They've become the epitome,
like
of,
the epitome. Like, you can point to their albums and be like, yes, this is what an extreme metal band with occult and satanic themes sounds like.
Right.
And there's nothing particularly special about it.
Webster's dictionary defines
occult extreme metal as Behemoth.
Right.
And like, yeah, this album, I remember being pretty impressed with The Satanist. When
that
we
was a great
to
album.
That's a fantastic album. We didn't listen to the one in between, which as I understand was also fairly well reviewed. And I haven't heard much of anything else from Behemoth. I didn't end up seeking out too much more of their discography.
Right. I mean, I've gone back and I've listened to The Satanist again. That was that was good. This one, the reason I brought this one, by the way, is because even though it came out last year, for some reason they're doing a really big ad push right now for it.
Maybe there's like a deluxe edition coming out, or maybe they're finally getting around to touring for it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, things have been fucking weird since COVID, trying to put out music and organize tours and that sort of thing. So
right.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they've got a new music video that came out. I don't know. But yeah, like there's just this feeling I get of it's pretty mild, and it's not something that I really get from the music, but something about their image has started to feel a little disingenuous to me. Of like, it's that sort of thing of like, all right, are you still doing this?
Right.
Like come on. We've seen this before. This was old 20 years ago, when bands were still doing this. No one's impressed by this anymore. That sort of thing. Not that I was around for any of that 20 years ago, but just my understanding of the metal community at large. It's like, is anybody really thrilled by, overt displays of Satanism at a death metal concert anymore?
Right.
I'm probably just too cynical about this. I'm sure there's still plenty of people who are still shocked by that. People are still shocked by Rammstein at this point. Like,
really?
I'm sure there are some people like And think about how popular they are. How many people who have never really listened to them end up going to one of their shows just because they're at a big club that they frequent and go, what the fuck is any of this?
The giant flaming penis
is shooting flaming fake cum onto the entire crowd.
Right. I mean, that's just sort of, German national pastime. Right?
It seems like it has become that since the German reunification. Germany's
30 years.
Germany's just gotten weirder and weirder. You put the two, separating the two of them, like that's how Germans got the reputation for being dour and humorless.
Right.
Is when they were separated. Apparently, those two ingredients didn't have that weirdo chemical reaction. You put East and West back together and it gets weird and horny.
Yeah.
Very quick, apparently. But yeah, what are some of your other thoughts about this album?
Okay. I mean,
you could get into some meat because I feel like I've just been talking in generalities.
Sure. But that's the thing though, is it, this album kind of is a generality. It is a bit of a generality. I mean, there's great musicianship on here. There's good playing. There's good recording. There's good producing.
It's one of those recordings that is good in the sense that there are times where it's good lo-fi at times in the sense where it sounds like it's naturalistically sort of lower fidelity in some places. Like I remember starting it, wondering like, wait, is this the album we're listening to, or is this like a reissue of one of their old things?
Right.
But no, it's, evoking a little bit of, at least on some of the songs, some of the production feels kind of that crispier guitar tone, that sort of crispy black metal guitar tone.
Only now they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas in the early days, they're doing it because they
didn't have any good.
They had $75 worth of equipment.
And it's honestly, that's a thing that I like. I like when, because you can like, there's something to be said for like I can't find the word for what I'm trying to describe, but like there is a certain charm to something that is like super lo-fi because they didn't have fucking any budget at all.
Right.
But there is also something to be said for something that is like higher budget, but uses like expensive equipment to achieve that lo-fi sound. And for some reason, like I get a lot out of that. There's like a lot for my ears to dig into there, where like the low budget lo-fi is like one dimensional. It's flat. To me, it's flat. For whatever reason, high budget lo-fi, it has like layers to it.
Sure.
That was a weird little tangent, but yeah, like you said, I mean, it's well performed. I've liked Nurgle's vocals. Like I think Nurgle is a very talented vocalist. I really like his vocal style, like that sort of weird, like kind of shouted. It's very, very throaty is how I would describe his vocals.
Right.
It feels kind of like bellowed and shouted, very kind of like pained, sort of screaming and growling that I think is really appealing. Like I really like the way, I really dig his vocals. But yeah, there was not a lot that was super compelling on this album.
Yeah.
Which is I think bands can sometimes find themselves in a space where like they just don't have the really compelling material in them anymore. They've gotten it out.
They've done it.
They've done it, and now they're just making more media and just in feeding the machine,
generating content.
And if it's your living, I can't blame you for that at all. And if it's something you still enjoy doing, I absolutely can't blame anyone for doing that and wanting to keep that thing going, even if maybe you don't have the same level of artistic achievement or quality to it. And maybe that's not how they feel at all. And that's perfectly fine too. But there is also something to be said for those bands that are like, all right, we're out of ideas, so we're done. or like we're not even out of ideas, but we know that someday we will be, and we've decided we want to, just end it while we're on top. Like the Dillinger Escape Plan, right?
Sure.
Their last album was fucking insane. So full of new and awesome stuff, but they all decided this is going to be our last album, at least for a very long while, probably forever. They kind of left it semi-open that maybe one day they would get together, but they all said, if we do, it's not going to be for a long while.
Right. Or like Carcass.
Carcass, yeah.
When they decided they were going to be done, and they said, we've had all these bullets in the chamber that no one wanted to hear.
Here's Swan Song.
Here's Swan Song. Here's something nobody asked for, but
we have. I know you love that album. I know you love it.
I do, because it's like them going, well, we don't fucking care now.
Yeah.
Here's this stuff we like that we never were going to play for you.
And you know what? I have to appreciate it. I don't have to like it.
Right.
But I have to at least recognize that that's a pretty cool thing.
Did we do that album? I don't think we did.
We did Heartwork.
We did Heartwork.
I don't think we talked about Swan Song. I have listened to Swan Song though. And I didn't really hear anything that particularly made me want to go back to it. But I have listened to it before. Yeah, does this album slap?
Yeah, of course it slaps.
Opus Contra Naturam, which we have avoided saying because it's difficult to say, even when you consciously put all the U's back in there.
Opvs Contra.
We talked about that at the start of the episode, but they do that black metal thing where they replace all of the U's with V's, and that kind of contributes to my come on guys, you're better than this. Yeah. That contributes to my feeling of like you don't need to do that.
No, Nurgle, you're almost 50.
Like come on, your name's Adam.
Come on, Adam.
Just put the fucking U's in the titles of the songs, okay? We all know what they're supposed to be. It's a perfectly fine letter of the alphabet. Yeah, I would say this album slaps.
Yeah.
Came out to 4 reviews. That was just on the Wikipedia page. 77.5.
Sure.
What's your favorite song on the album?
Well, I really like the Deathless Sun.
Okay.
I like there's another V.
Yeah.
Of My Herculean Exile. And you know what? The single really actually grew on me a little bit as I listened to it again. That's Once Upon a Pale Horse.
See, I really liked Neo Spartacus. I don't know what it was about Neo Spartacus. I really, really dug it. I don't I think it was something like the guitar solos and there was something really epic about that song that I really liked.
Yeah.
So Neo Spartacus was my, I think what it reminded me of as some Warhammer 40K shit popped into my head.
Sure.
And so I was like, I like that. And my brain's associating the two things. So I've formed an attachment to this song.
Okay. All right.
I couldn't help it.
I'm just imagining, that Keanu Reeves is a Centurion.
Why Keanu Reeves?
Neo. Neo Spartacus.
Yep. Okay. All right. What metal are you bestowing upon this album, Moscow to Chewbacca?
It's a solid silver.
Yeah, it's a silver for sure.
Yeah.
Before we talk about what we're doing next week, because I just realized that it was my turn and I haven't thought about it at all. So I don't have anything prepared.
Okay.
So instead of talking about what we're going to do next week, I did want to mention to you, since we are talking about metal and talking about music, that there is a trailer for the Metalocalypse movie special.
What?
Yeah.
There's a movie coming out?
Yeah.
Why did I not know about this?
That was announced a little while ago, like last month or something, or a few months ago, maybe.
Is it going to be on HBO or whatever? It's going to be on Max?
I don't know. Probably, because that's where Adult Swim stuff ends up, isn't it? So probably. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit like the Doomstar Requiem.
Okay.
Where it's gonna be like a musical special that will finish the series finally. And there's also a new Death Clock single that got released. So I'm very happy about that. I fucking love that show so much.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I have such fond memories of that show, and it makes me so happy that it is finally getting an ending, because like the whole story thread has been hanging up in the air for a decade.
Right.
And I've just been waiting, hoping that something will come along, that Brendan Small will finally get an opportunity to finish it. And he did.
You know, when my youngest kids and I are packing to go anywhere, we still always break into Mermaider.
Mermaider.
We've got our tent. Check.
Check. Yes.
Towels. Check.
I mean, you and I will just occasionally like prattle off Metalocalypse quotes at each other at work.
Yeah.
Anytime we talk about a grocery store, I usually end up saying food libraries. It's a grocery store, you douchebag. So yeah. Who would guess that the two of us would be fans of Metalocalypse? Yeah. Who would guess that? So it makes me really happy that the show is finally getting an ending and those characters are getting their storylines wrapped up. It's such a wonderful concept for a show in the first place, of like, we're gonna make a show about a death metal band that has inexplicably become so popular that they are the 7th largest economy in the world,
right behind Belgium,
and they have the economic power of an entire industrialized nation. Like, but they're a death metal band.
Right.
Like, and the care that goes into all the animations while they're playing their songs, like everyone's hands are in the right place. They're actually playing the chords, and the fact that they would like write new music for every episode, even if it was just like 45 seconds for half of a song, and then like years after the fact for their albums, they would go through and write out the rest of the song from that, extrapolate an entire rest of the song from that 45 seconds that got used in the show.
It's because it's made by people who actually love the music.
Like, and getting Gene Hoglan to play the drums and everything. Like,
great.
It's just wonderful. Metalocalypse is a very special show, in my opinion. So I'll figure out what we're going to talk about next week.
All right.
Maybe we'll talk about a Death Clock album. I don't know.
All right.
The mood has struck me. Maybe we'll see. I'll give a listen and see if it's fertile ground for a conversation. But anyway, until you hear from us next time, why don't you go ahead and visit our social media pages on Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a follow there. We post episode links when new episodes comes out. When new episodes comes out, we post the episodes links.
Thank you, Squidcar.
That was Toki.
Oh yes, that was Toki.
There. Yeah. But anyway, new episode links there when they come out, if that's how you prefer to get your new episodes. Otherwise, just subscribe to our feed on whatever it is you're using to listen to us right now. So thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Ken.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.